Now, on your Tuesday morning drive, Tiger Woods returns to the Honda Classic for the first time in 4 years. But can he make changes in time to play the weekend at PGA National? Find out why the bear trap could be a tougher test for Tiger than Riviera.
And this would be some kind of... Oh, wow, what a putt.
Speaking of back-to-back, Ricky Fowler looks to repeat at a course he dominates. Could another win in Palm Beach jumpstart a career year for Ricky in 2018? And we dig into the infamous bear trap at PGA National. What lessons can you learn from one of the toughest three-hole stretches in the game? We'll kick it off this morning with a look at the par 3 15th. It's all ahead on Morning Drive this Tuesday, February 20th, 2018. Hey everyone, happy Tuesday. Welcome inside Morning Drive. Getting the day started off right. Lauren Thompson, Paige McKenzie, the rest of our team in just a few moments. Now just a couple days removed from Bubba Watson now being a 10-time PGA Tour winner, capturing the Genesis Open. And Paige, there are a lot of great celebrations in golf, but one in particular had Ted Scott, Bubba Watson's longtime caddy, doing a little bit of comparison. Check this out. After holding out from the bunker shot on 14, Bubba and I just forgetting to do that rake toss, the club toss. Reminds you of Jordan Spieth and Michael Greller, right?
He called it a weird chest bump, though. It was not weird. The Jordan Spieth was a good chest bump.
Travelers Championship, Genesis Open, holding out from the bunker. Spieth, of course, doing this move. Now, this got a lot of reaction on social media. High five, though. A little more cool, calm, collected.
It was a good celebration.
It was solid. No matter what, you just can't do redos from other people's celebrations. As we get you on over to the rest of our team, Tom Abbott and Robert Dameron. Good morning, guys.
Good morning. That was more of a back bump, wasn't it? Because he kind of spun into it a little bit. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
One of those.
We'll get him off the show. Yeah. We'll get him off the show.
All right, I'm coming
Anyway,
back.
it's a really big week of sport because we've got Tiger Woods in the field. We've got the Winter Olympics going on. We've been watching a lot of that on the networks of NBC. We're going to be watching Tiger Woods on Golf Channel on Thursday, Friday, and maybe Saturday, Sunday in the early coverage.
Possibly Saturday, Sunday. Knowing what we know about Tiger and the state of his game, and knowing what I know about PGA National and the state of that golf course, slim chance, I think, that he tees it up on the weekend. He needs to drive it a lot better because you can't get up and down from the water.
Happening now, Tiger Woods prepares for his fifth start at the Honda Classic. He first played the Honda as a 17-year-old amateur. I'm still laughing about trying to push you off the show.
Yes.
Amateur in 1993 at Western Hills. It's a home game for Woods this week. He lives just a short drive towards the ocean in Jupiter, Florida. The last time Woods played the Honda was 2014. Excitement was brewing for Woods 4 years ago. Plenty of hype, as always. And Woods responded, cutting a 65 in the third round to move inside the top 20 heading into Sunday. But back spasms flared up in the final round, and Woods withdrew. After 13 holes, he would undergo back surgery just a month later. These are Woods' results at the Honda Classic. In 1993, he was a two-time U.S. Junior Amateur Champion. He would win his third straight later that year. It would be almost 20 years before he would return to Honda. Woods carded a final round 62 when he finished as a runner-up to Rory McIlroy in 2012. It's the reason Woods actually owns the best scoring average at the Honda Classic since 2010. It's 69.0. Paige McKenzie has come over on her chair we haven't pushed you off just yet, to the desk here, and to talk about Tiger Woods with Robert and I. Let's talk about Woods' chances this week and what he needs to do. Robert's already alluded to it in terms of driving the golf ball. How does he focus into that this week?
You know, I find it very interesting that he did change equipment between the Farmers and last week at Genesis. And I think that's an important point to make, is that he still didn't get it figured out. And I think moving forward, it would be interesting to see if he does, in fact, change his driver a little bit, because he started with right misses at Torrey Pines, and it seemed to be less left misses, especially the second day at Genesis Open. So I think there's a lot of maybe equipment that's also involved with the driving.
See, he has had a history of odd excuses. Not to say equipment isn't an issue, but of some issues where he doesn't blame himself or his swing. More, it's the equipment, it's my glutes, it's my back, it's my wrist.
Is it what champions do?
That is what champions do, but it's also what we do when we're analyzing the words coming out of his mouth here on the Golf Channel. So what we do know, he's driving it off the planet. It cannot last at PGA National. It's too hard of a golf course to drive it that way. And the one issue that we haven't really talked about is he played pretty darn well at Torrey Pines considering where he drove it. He struggled at Riviera. His short game left him some, and the driver didn't really come back. It is mentally exhausting and unsustainable to play that way for a long time. It catches up with you. He's been enthusiastic to come back. Torrey, his first tournament, I mean, I think he played well there on sheer enthusiasm. That leaves you get sick of missing these fairways, and your mental stamina, your mental ability to grind starts to leave you when you keep playing the way he's playing.
And what happens is it starts to erode the confidence of other parts of your game. It is so difficult to continue to scramble to try to score. It's fine 1-2 rounds a tournament, but when you're doing it tournament after tournament, it can erode into the rest of your game. And I think that's what we have to pay attention to with Tiger Woods moving forward, is that can he get something stabilized where he's hitting a few more fairways and greens and then create a building block from there.
16 of 36 greens, the fewest he's ever hit. That was at the Genesis Open last week through 2 rounds, of course. I was counting up. There are 11 holes, not par 3s, where water could come into play off the tee. I remember it well from hosting Big Break, the Palm Beaches, Florida, down there a few years ago. I know you enjoyed that show on Golf Channel, Robert. Let's go over to another couple of people who really enjoyed Big Break. It's Lauren and Tim Rosafort.
Well, Tom, I like having you in studio AP too. You do a good job on Morning Drive. I've been seeing him a lot in here, but it's always a good Tuesday when the insider Tim Rosafort is joining us. And Tim, clearly no stranger to the Honda Classic. You've been covering this event since the 80s. So now that Tiger Woods is in the field, what would you say this means to the tournament stop?
I would say that further proof that Tiger is the needle. Ken Kennerly, the executive director of the tournament, and the man who really quarterbacked this resurgence of this golf tournament, talked about how he's felt the impact and the buzz ever since he got the commitment call on Friday night. There was a lot of anxiety in this one. Not sure whether Tiger was going to try and test his game here at PGA National back to back. But he ended up doing that, and he said it's hard to really chart the numbers right now, but he went back to a quote. Peter Ripa, of the tournament director at the Farmers out at Torrey Pines, said that Tiger represents a 40% increase, and you could just see in the gallery shots of whether it was last week at Riviera or out at Torrey Pines, 10 deep on most of the holes where Tiger's playing, and it's hard to really know what the numbers are going to be till they're over, but an example might be that they've already registered 12,000 veterans thus far who get in for free, and they're not done yet. So the numbers are spiking. It's something you can kind of keep control of, but really until you see what the walk-up is, you just don't know how many people are ultimately going to flow through the gates of PGA National this week to watch Tiger, especially in the first 2 days, and maybe more.
So you've been telling me that the tournament has been growing in recent years no matter what. Throw in that 40% increase for Tiger Woods, it's going to be off the charts.
Well, they set a record last year without Tiger, with over 200,000 people over the course of the entire week. And then last year the year before was the previous record, 2016. Again, 2 non-Tiger years. But this tournament has evolved since the days of being down in Broward County, Eagle Trace, Heron Bay, Weston Hills, up to Palm Beach, Mirasol, and ultimately it blossomed at PGA National. Not exactly the most favorite course for players because there's a lot of problems there, but the spectators love it. The Bear Trap, it's a big party atmosphere. It's sort of a scaled down version of what goes on in Scottsdale in a sense. And the community and the county has grown tremendously since the tournament first started and first moved up there. So it'll be interesting to see and interesting to hear. Being out there in the crowd, seeing 10 deep and seeing those kids climbing under all the spectators to catch a view of Tiger. It's really created quite a buzz in Palm Beach County.
You live down in the area. You're going to have some notes in just a few moments on the defending champion. But for now, we get you back to Tom Abbott.
Speaking of the defending champion, Ricky Fowler defends this week at the Honda. Ricky's last victory came at Albany in the Bahamas at the Hero World Challenge in December. It is, of course, the event Woods hosts down there in the Albany community. Woods has a beautiful apartment overlooking the marina where he moors his yacht. And Ricky is looking to sail, do you get that? Sail into back-to-back Honda wins this week. Happening now, the 29-year-old would join Jack Nicklaus as the only players to achieve that feat. Nicklaus won in 77 and 78 at Inverray Country Club. Let's take you back to last year and relive the final round. Ricky with a 4-shot lead to begin the day. This was his tee shot at the par 4-6. Things starting to go wrong.
This swing probably gave a little bit of life to the rest of the field. That cut into his big lead.
He'd make a double bogey, 2 strokes ahead of Gary Woodland at the time. This for a birdie at the par 4-8.
It was a very up and down front 9 for Ricky Fowler. Actually shot 2 over, including having this birdie on the 8th.
This is where things really started to change. Morgan Hoffman birdied 8, 11, and 12 to put some pressure on Ricky. He had a 1-shot lead with this at the 12th.
Curls it in the left side. Boy, this putter was on fire.
So he would move 2 clear at the time. Still not guaranteed the win, but this for a birdie at the 13th.
Yeah, if you notice a trend here, you can tell what club kept Ricky in this and saved him from some pretty poor shots.
He was 3 clear, moving through the bear trap. This at the 16th.
There was sound there. He said, be really good when it was in the air. It was really good.
5 strokes ahead, a comfortable lead, and that is nice to have when you're coming through these holes. The 17th, water lurking.
Yeah, even with a 5-shot lead, it's still difficult to close golf tournaments, and that was just a poor miss.
If there's one way to blow a 5-shot lead, that's it. That was stressful, I'm sure, for Rick.
At the 18th hole, it wouldn't be a pretty finish for Ricky Fowler. He would bogey the last couple, but he didn't really seem to mind at that time. He had things wrapped up, and Ricky Fowler wins on the PGA Tour for the 4th time. And talked about having that lead going into the final round. He hasn't always been comfortable with 54-hole leads. The win 12 months ago was the first time Ricky was able to convert a 54-hole lead into a victory on the PGA Tour. With hair down over his ears, the then 21-year-old rookie was passed by Justin Rose at the weather-plagued 2010 Memorial. At the 2011 AT&T National, he went from a 3rd round 64 to a final round 74. And most recently at Waste Management, Ricky began the day as the solo leader but shot 73 on Sunday. Ricky Fowler spoke with Tim Rosafort earlier this week about converting that lead last year.
To go into the final round with the lead and to somewhat hold it early on, I ended up making double early on a tough hole out here, and to, I guess, hold on to that win at this golf course, what it demands, what can happen around this golf course. It was big for my confidence, just being that in the U.S. or on the PGA Tour, I hadn't closed out a 54-hole lead, so special to do that here at this tournament.
Well, let's talk about Ricky Fowler and you know, how comfortable he is with the lead. He said it was important there, you heard, to do it last year, finally having had some issues converting the leads. What sort of a player is he? I mean, if you look at his record, you'd probably expect him to have more wins than he actually does.
Oh, without question. I think if you look at statistically, I know, Robert, this is something you spent time on yesterday, is that top to bottom, he's incredibly solid, and I think most people would have expected to have more wins, especially closing out golf tournaments, because we've seen him close out golf tournaments without the lead, where he comes through chasing up through the end and finishes with at the Players, that incredible finish at Hero most recently. So it is a surprise.
It's a surprise, and the one thing that we can look at stats all day, the one thing that we can't get out of stats is that killer instinct. Does he have that? Is he really competitive? Does he want to win bad? Part of me, looking just at his inability to close the show on Sunday, would think no, but then also, you forget when he won the Players 6 under the last 6, he did it by being called the most overrated player on tour before, and that lit a fire under him. Yeah. And that's part of that killer instinct is, you know what, I'm going to show you guys something. I think that the talent, the ability, we all know is there. No one's going to question that. What holds him back from closing the show? He might just be too nice of a guy, as strange it is to say. I mean, it's great to be nice to the fans and the sponsors, but you might not have to be so nice to your competitors.
Or maybe he just hasn't figured out how to play with a lead. I mean, the reality is playing with a lead is very different than coming from behind. It's the difference between playing offense and playing defense. And as much as we say it should be the same no matter if you're holding lead or not, it's different when you sleep on a lead and you're struggling to maybe sleep because of the anxiety or nerves going into it. And I think it definitely takes practice to feel comfortable in that situation. Not everybody is as comfortable with the lead as coming from behind.
So that's part of it you're probably born with, just your own personal makeup. But if you look, Justin Thomas has led 7 events. He's closed 5 of them out through 54, 71%. Jordan Spieth, 60%. Dustin Johnson, 42%. And Ricky, only 17% when they have the lead. So that it's just part of their personal makeup.
Yeah, and one difference about that one leader is they're going to be judged no matter what happens on Sunday. Everybody else in the field, you can take it or leave it. No one's going to remember it. But that one person will be judged no matter if they win or lose, and it makes it that much more challenging to get it done.
Nice guy, successful, but also very successful when it comes to his brand. I mean, he's built this brand which probably nobody else has on the tour. Maybe only Tiger Woods has a stronger brand. You could argue that maybe Ricky is stronger than Woods at the moment. Let's go over to Lauren for more chat.
Yeah, well, Tim Rosafort back with our insider, and Ricky Fowler, the defending champion. Tom mentioned it moments ago that you spent some time with him at the Honda Classic Media Day just last week. And listen, no one's going to argue that he's not popular across the game, but you took note of just how popular he was with the kids while you were there.
Well, whether it's internationally, nationally, or down in Palm Beach where he makes his home, you know, the impact that Fowler has on kids is really palpable. You can see it. See my nephew Grayson, 10 years old. He's got the Puma hat, the flat brim, the logo, the whole deal. You know, dresses down like Ricky, and as part of that, you know, Ricky's known to show up unannounced over at Jonathan's Landing, where they have a team golf program that's part of the South Florida PGA. The Shipwreckers is the name of the team, and you know, whether it's there or whether it's nationally, and you see him with kids who are disadvantaged, disabled. You know, he's not doing this to get the camera on him. He's doing it because he realizes this is part of his duty, his reputation. And yeah, it does build a brand. There's no question about it. But at the same time, the popularity doesn't come from the brand. The popularity comes from the heart and what Ricky shows.
Let's talk about Jack Nicklaus, the 18-time major champion, the unofficial face of the Honda Classic, you could say, the champion course at PGA National. He's revamped it 3 times, the latest being in 2006. And listen, he's a busy guy.
He sure is.
Doesn't seem to be stopping them.
No, not at all. You know, I was with Jack the other night and Barbara at their fundraiser at the Jake over at the Bears Club, and this is their primary fundraiser for Nicklaus Children's Care Foundation. And to see Jack up at the podium and to hear him deliver his take on healthcare, not healthcare in general, but healthcare as it relates to the innovations of healthcare and how they're trying to drive this, you know, through their foundation, and how it started locally and in South Florida, and now the reach is really internationally. There was a clip of a young girl from Venezuela who had some heart issues and was basically saved by going to Nicklaus Children's down in Miami. So it's a very passionate subject to him. And when he sat down, Lauren, at our table, you could see how red his eyes were, the tears that had been welling up in his eyes when he spoke from the heart, and also from a success standpoint, and how much ground has been broken thus far, and how much more the vision is in the name of their grandson, Jake Nicklaus, who passed away, unfortunately, at 17 months old.
Oh, that's a tough subject to conquer, definitely, and one that's very admirable for Jack Nicklaus,
sure
but of course very,
Barbara
very
as
personal.
well.
Yes, more from Tim Rosafort throughout the show, across the span of the players. You've got an incredible contact list in your phone, so this is just what you do. You bring all of our viewers inside these stories that matter in the game of golf. Still to come today on Morning Drive, though, the LPGA Tour. They're in Southeast Asia for the Honda LPGA Thailand. You want a strong lineup? How about 8 of the top 10 in the Rolex rankings? Well, our LPGA member is going to get you in the know on the defending champ swing, so you'll want to pay attention to this. It's coming up today on Morning Drive. Another thing you'll want to pay attention to today, and always, though, is your health. Dr. Ara Sapaya uses Gary Williams as a guinea pig to talk blood pressure, the 2 numbers to know how to steer clear of the danger zone, and a certain syndrome that can kick in when you step foot into the doctor's office. Interesting. So that's one thing, but surviving the stern string of holes at the hands of the PGA Tour players this week is another. It's a beast to tackle and to take on. So just ahead, we're going to kick off our detailed look at the bear trap, starting with the par 3 15th. That's all ahead today on Morning Drive, including a look at the new technology for your game. There's some top technology that's going to help you get squared at impact if a slice tends to sneak in during your rounds. Matt Adams, our equipment expert, is ready to take on quite the combination.
What does it mean to get fit, pay less, and play better? I'll tell you coming up.